Good. All right, we'll start with the flag salute. If everyone would stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome everybody to the June 17th Marion County Commission meeting. Anyone wishing to make public comments? Okay, Quentin, if you'd come up to the chair. And if you could give your name again and address for the record.
Yep. My name is Quentin Gour. Address is 1141 Eagle, Hillsborough, Kansas. Well, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I'll mostly be reading off my notes that my wife and I put together, so please stop me if you have questions or want clarification. So, I'm Quentin Gour and I live a little east of Gossel with my wife and our children. I'm here today because Orsted is talking to landowners in southwest Marion County, raising concerns about the potential expansion of wind farms into my area of the county. So, for example, our current decommissioning regulations say enough of the turbine's base is to be removed so 18 inches of soil can be placed over it and reseeded with native grass. As some of you may know, and any farmer will tell you, 18 inches is not enough soil over concrete to grow a crop. The regulations also say any request greater than the requirement shall be negotiated between the wind farm company and the landowner at or before the time of decommissioning. These details need to be decided ahead of time, so landowners and the county won't have to fight the wind farm company. Decommissioning costs also estimates vary widely. So the current regulations state the wind company will provide a form of financial security to the county for decommissioning the wind farm. We need more details about what that security will look like, what it is, and how much it is. For example, a bond or preferably an escrow account that is reviewed every 5 years. The steps of decommissioning process need to be listed so that it's very clear what decommissioning means, so both the county and landowners are not left with any remaining costs. Our regulations also need to specify the extent of cleanup after blade failure or fire. We need to protect the interests of those around the wind turbines. Fiberglass from shattered blades has the potential to render the land unusable. We need regulations stating to what extent the wind farm company needs to clean up after blade failures and fires. An example is what happened in Marshall County, Kansas, when a next-to-era wind turbine blade shattered onto a neighboring farm, destroying their hayfield. According to Representative Kerry Barth, it took over a year and a lot of legislators to get involved for the family to get paid compensation for their failed crop, or their crop loss. So these are just a couple of things that we're concerned about and believe need to be addressed and for the benefit of rural Marion County. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to make public comments?
Is there anybody else before me, or am I be the only one?
You'd be the next one.
Tom Britton, rural Florence. I'm going to ditto a lot of what Quentin just said. The minutes of May 13th, public forum, Tom Britton discussed the wind farm south of Marion County. Has changed hands and asked the board 3 questions. What does the decommission agreement look like with the new owners? So, what is it? Here's what I want to know, would like to know, and we'd all like to know, is like he said, is it a bond or is it a letter of credit? Well,
This is your time for public comment.
Well, I'm asking you a question, and I'd like a response. I asked you a month ago, and so you're not going to answer it then?
This is your chance for public comment.
Well, when can I get an answer then?
I suppose we can get you an answer.
Okay, well, when, you got an ETA on that, or EPA, or whatever you call it?
I'll get you an answer by next Monday.
Okay, so we have the meeting for next Monday then.
I'll just send it to you on text or
No,
email.
I wanna do it in.
All right, we're having a public meeting on Monday.
Okay, there you are. Better credit, how much and who pays into it because of this, new coming out. Orsted divested ownership shares to deploy capital to build more windmills, kill more birds and bats, ruin more landowners' property and quality of life, and turn neighbors into enemies, ripping apart once friendly communities. So how about the culverts? Do you have any idea about the culverts, why there are no culverts?
There are culverts.
Well, some have culverts, I don't, up by me.
I'm pretty sure that the questions were answered by our planning and zoning director and
Right.
provided to you in your.
Well, I didn't ask her, I'm asking the commission.
Okay.
We will read the responses in public next
And
time,
then we can read them next time, okay?
because I guess
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, we wanna know what this is. I'll read you the Expedition Wind Project Development Plan. So this is the development plan. Page 15, section 16B. Construction and drainage of access roads and turbine pads. All access roads we will have installed a properly sized culvert as determined by HydroCAD modeling, which I don't know what that is, but that measures the maximum 100-year flow to each culvert. And so all roads, and these don't, up by me. Some do, I guess. I mean, I don't, like I say, I don't drive by them because it makes me sick. But so yeah, all of them. That's what it says in the regulations. So, and then if my commissioner would like to go out and inspect it and maybe report back, because I drove through water there. It's a lake out there right by the access road. I mean, you know, and also how about the lights? Do you have any information about that, or we got to come back next
we've
week?
answered that multiple times.
No, you haven't. Well, I haven't. I wasn't allowed to come to meetings, so I don't know any of this stuff. But what's the answer then?
If you're concerned about the lights, there's a lot of factors involved.
Right. Now, I'd like to know why we don't, well, you know, they told us we would and they're not. I mean, are they just gonna skate out of it, or are we gonna put up with this?
So they're operating under the regulations.
Okay, so, but, you know, and that's one thing, they didn't promise it and everything, you know, I guess. You know, they said they would, but you know, it would sure be nice, you know, everybody hates this, you know.
No, everybody does not.
Well, you don't.
You hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, your time is up, so thank you.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Gave you an extra minute.
Oh, did you? Well, thanks.
Okay, anyone online wish to make comments? Not seeing any, we'll move into agenda approval. Any additions to the additions to the agenda?
I do not have the property acquisition discussion for today.
Okay.
I'll take that off.
All right.
I've got one, but we can just discuss it under commission comment.
Okay, make sure we get that.
How about a 10-minute executive session for personnel performance towards the end of the meeting, either after budget or whatever?
Anything else? If not, we'll move into administrative. Ashley?
I have the minutes of June 10.
Any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring, second by Commissioner Dahlke. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Next, I have a few early checks. The total amount is $3,701.48.
Any questions on the invoices?
No conflicts. I didn't see any.
You what?
No conflicts of interest.
No.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring, is there a second by Commissioner Becker? Questions or discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. bolt,
Yeah, it's
missing the
missing,
rivet,
missing a rivet.
It's got a screw loose.
saving money,
I couldn't help it, I had to say it.
saving money.
Why is the paper not sitting straight?
Duct tape.
Running on a tight budget. Can't even afford to have good.
Phyllis, I'll make copies. I need to get that from them, the comments, so that she has it for the minutes.
You
So-
need to,
Yes, thank you,
could I have a copy?
yes.
All right, next.
That's all I have right now.
Two.
Okay, Tina,
Okay, in your packet, I sent out the wrong report, but now I sent you the right one, and it's in the packet now, but the June 17th administrative report, did you have any questions about that?
not seeing any, thank you.
Okay. In the packet, I also provided a copy of the draft solid waste resolution. And that is for you to be able to review for potential adoption next week. So I just wanted you to have it ahead of time. It's kind of lengthy.
Any preliminary questions or points you want to bring up?
There's usually just a couple of changes, if any,
It's mainly date changes.
whenever we.
Yeah, if we're gonna change the assessment,
And I don't see any changes. I mean, I don't remember any changes, so.
Right.
Means that there's no changes, I'm comfortable with moving forward with it, 'cause it's the same thing we had before.
Do you have the resolution for this week?
I can get it. Yeah, we can. I haven't actually had a chance to read through it and make sure everything is completely, so.
I do pending a staff review.
Okay,
Well, it'd be okay if it might be better if we just wait till next week, and that way you can sign the clean document and.
Okay.
Okay, but we will have that on next week.
All right.
But I appreciate you trying to make it more efficient.
any other questions on the solid waste assessment resolution? Okay, we will review it and take it up next week.
Okay, that sounds good. We do have a purchase request for some mattresses for the ambulance station, so that was in your packet.
Which one was the apparent low?
There's mattress
The
hub.
recommended one.
Yeah. I went past that so far.
those were budgeted, weren't they?
There's money in the capital outlay budget line item for the purchase, so yes, there is budget available for that.
Need an action.
Yes, please.
Is there a motion to accept the recommended low bid? And I just flipped on it.
I can't get back to it. There's so many agreements and documents.
There it is. Mattress firm, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
$6,000.
Yes.
Sealy Posturepedic from Mattress Firm, $6,000.
Waive the disposal fee on the old one.
I think they take them.
Yeah, they provide a bag, so they'll take them back.
Oh, they do? Okay, I didn't know.
I didn't actually ask about that.
I did say they do provide the mattress covers, so that's included.
Yeah, and so just to clarify, this is for 6 mattresses for the EMS stations, and the total for all 6 would be $6,000.
Okay, I would make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Gearing. Questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
In your packet, you also had the copy of the contract for the bridge replacement that was approved last week. And so we have that for approval and then to issue the notice of award.
Any questions on the specifications as presented? Is there a motion to approve and sign?
Moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gehring, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0.
This is signed by the chairman and attested by the county clerk. And then here's the notice of award. So for quite some time in this building, we've been having a recurring and pretty major sewer smell, especially in the basement, but sometimes it comes upstairs. And we've been looking for that problem for probably 4 years, trying to figure out where it was coming from. And we finally believe we have it figured out that it is coming, the floor drain in the boiler room is not functioning correctly. And it is a drain that, I mean, it's encased in concrete and it's really, really old. And so the facilities director has been contacting multiple plumbing companies and probably 15 different companies trying to get someone out to take a look at that. We finally got one to come out. Most companies are at least 2 to 4 months out on scheduling and won't even come out and look at a job. So we do have a quote from a plumbing company to come and basically what they're gonna have to do is they're gonna have to cut out and remove the concrete in the space, remove the old floor drain and gate valve, install a backflow valve, new 3-inch floor drain with cover, and pour back the concrete to correct grade to so all of that. Okay, so it's a pretty big project. And the quote is, this is from, I'm just want to see where they're out of. These folks are out of Hutchinson. It's X Services, and they would be able to come back and do the work as well. And there's a couple of other smaller jobs that we have. But the cost of this is $6,520 to do that work. So
It's a cast iron drain.
yes, it's
Backflow in it too, though.
yes, it's a pretty major project there. And then also one other thing that I didn't mention is not just the smell; it doesn't drain properly. So there's a trap on it, which has to be, the reason it smells is because you have to open the trap because the drain is clogged. You can't drain down the drain. It's actually draining out the trap. And that's not functioning properly, so. And our HVAC drains into that.
Condensate.
Yeah, our condensation does. So it really does need to be fixed.
And if you have a leak in the boiler,
Right.
it would also.
Right.
It's gonna be pretty noisy are they gonna do it?
Start cutting concrete and all that.
I used to
Yes.
noise around here.
Okay.
It's been pretty noisy around here lately, but I think that we can work that into the least intrusive time of working on that.
That was the only company that responded.
Right, I mean, it's been like pulling teeth, everybody's so busy. We've reached out multiple times.
We have drain problems too, and it's hard to get people to come to Marion, Kansas.
We did get somebody come out and, you know, they worked for about 4 hours to try to clear the drain, and that's when we realized what was happening with the drain. But that company isn't able to come out and actually do the repair. Yeah.
Well, it's a critical repair.
Is there anything else that drains in there besides HVAC?
Well, I mean, we utilize it for, like mop water and things like that.
It protects the computer room in case it floods down there.
It's probably the only floor drain there is.
It's the only floor drain in the building.
So if water did come up through the entries, it's about the only way out, even though I don't think you're supposed to put storm water down through the sewer.
But you don't have a choice when you have flooding issues.
It needs to be done.
It needs to be done.
I move we accept the bid.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Crowfoot to accept the bid from X Plumbing. Ashley, can you help me with the amount?
$6,520.
Yeah, 6,520
Very good.
from X Services.
Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Other questions or discussion on the issue? Not all those in favor.
I know they probably do their due diligence, but make sure we're just on the flood controls.
Mhm.
If we're supposed to be putting back concrete with a barrier to limit flood water coming in or something like that, and that they put that, when they pour it back, they do it correctly.
Okay.
To meet any codes that we may need to maintain.
But Ashley's got that. Okay, other discussion or points, questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Sorry, I've got a contractor trying to gain access to fix that air conditioner next door, so, yeah, so, what's that?
DBK show up already?
Yes.
They're usually pretty responsive.
What else? Okay, so for right now, that is, I do have, what time is it? 12:52. I'm sorry, I'm gonna step out and have them help the contractor and then I can come back to it. So the next thing that I have on there is the custodial contract.
Okay.
Which I gave you a copy of, like a comparison between.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
while you're doing that, I need about a 5-minute break.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break and be.
Gotta fix my hair.
Recess.
Yeah.
I think we're all good. Sorry about that.
Commissioner Becker stepped out for a few minutes.
Okay,
Recess until he gets back.
okay. we need to postpone that custodial discussion to the end, we can. That's fine.
Have questions about this, or
I'm sorry?
have a couple questions?
Let's wait till Cam's back. Because he may have the same questions. That's
Sorry
right.
about that.
You're all right. Since it's right at 1 o'clock, let's delay the custodial services proposal and move on schedule for 1 o'clock with Sharon. Sharon, if you're ready.
Afternoon.
Really, a whole box?
Yes. How much time do you have?
Off floodplains and the other issue.
That was all digital copied to us, so I don't need those papers.
Goes in
I won't pretend like I spent all morning copying them for you then.
I don't.
These are the actual flood map panels. I know you were all given an opportunity to look at them in person and review them. Flood insurance study, stream. It is all here. You're welcome to look at it. These are kept at my office if you want to look at them after the meeting at some point.
So these have been arriving here over the past few months, and then I've been putting them in your mail for you to kind of glance through and.
Very good.
Just so you know, they actually do exist.
Never doubted it. I've seen them before.
Yes. Yes, those have been in the works for several years, actually. Okay. A nice presentation at the groundbreaking ceremony this morning, by the way. I thought that was really nice.
Another step forward.
Okay, so the first item that I have to talk with you about today are text amendments to the floodplain development
Yes.
overlay district. And this is essentially spurred by the fact that our county has been remapped, and that I kind of outlined the process that is gone through to get to those new floodplain maps that show the base flood elevations and flood fringe, that sort of thing. Most of that language may be foreign unless you're familiar with floodplain regulations. However, once those new maps come into effect, which will be July 17th of 2024, and Brad can help me out with this, it's either a requirement that the county adopt minimum standards based on state and federal regulations for floodplain development, or the community would not be able to be included in the flood insurance program. So if we would like to remain in the flood insurance program in the unincorporated portion of the county, we need to keep our floodplain regulations up to date with the minimum standards. With that being said, and a lot of things depend on being included in that flood insurance program. I know that a lot of our FEMA grants and different things like that are affected by it also. Not only do individual homeowners and property owners need flood insurance and need the benefits of that, but it also affects us as a community as a whole. So in my opinion, it's important that we stay consistent with those standards and continue to keep those regulations updated. So the letter, and I'm just going to say the requirement to it, FEMA letter requiring us to adopt or update regulations to minimum standards was included in your packet. Also, the FEMA letter stating that the accompanying flood insurance study, flood insurance rate maps, and flood profiles were included. That's what this big box of things are that you can read in your spare time. The legal notice of public hearing. So anytime that we make a text amendment to our county regulations, it goes through the public hearing process. That public hearing was held May 23rd of 2024. There was a draft, I'll call it a red line document, provided to the Planning Commission, and those were the existing regulations from 2018 with the suggested updates from the Division of Water Resources and FEMA that were incorporated into the regulations that we have. And a lot of what were added was language concerning agricultural structures. Our part of the US is a bit different in that we have we're heavy ag. And some of the areas that the floodplain reach and that FEMA regulates are coastal areas and more populated, more urban. So they really went back and forth with how to handle agricultural structures. So there's some language in there. We had lots of people represent from Kansas to try to get some of those standards more understood. Anyways, those are all outlined in there. And then also a variance process that the community can use if we choose to grant variances. So,
Do we have to specify that variance be enforced or that we can use it? Do we have to include that in our statement? Or is it just part of the ordinance?
it's part of the
That
regulation.
we can use it anytime?
That's right.
Okay.
And it's based on a case-by-case basis. The board can hear a variance request and approve or deny it based on the individual case, just like any other type of variance. Some of those can be administratively approved or denied, I believe, depending on the situation.
The only thing with those with the variance, they're precedential. So that if we do grant one and we have a similarly situated piece of property elsewhere in the county and someone else makes the application, they can cite our prior decisions in that instance. That doesn't occur with other types of exceptions that we allow for and draw only in variance instances. So when they're used, we need to make sure that all the evidence has been properly memorialized as to why we did it, what the circumstances were that were unique, that allowed us to do that so that it can be differentiated in future instances.
Correct.
I know that these agricultural structures have been a bone of contention for a long time. You know, property owner would go out there, buy a small 20-acre farm, and he's got a hay shed out on the corner of it that happens to fall in. I've had that happen to myself. And you're gonna mortgage that, you're gonna insure all of it. Buildings, house, everything.
One instance, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but one instance where a variance could be a good idea is if a livestock operation wants to place like a hay shed in an area that shows it's in the floodplain, though the elevation may be high enough that they've never seen water there, is a 3-sided structure. According to minimum standards, there have to be flood vents installed on at least 2 sides of that structure because it has technically 3 walls. Well, we all look at it and go, it's an open building. Water's gonna come and water's gonna go. So those are potential occurrences where a variance may be a good idea.
Something to do with occupancy and habitable
Right.
also.
Yes.
Yeah. You're talking about a 30-30 land grab. These folks don't deal with nobody. They don't care for nobody. I've dealt with them for a lot of years in Peabody. and
Well,
Flood.
in essence, it is a form of land grab.
Yeah.
Because you've got a structure that, even if it flooded, would have minimal impact. Yet,
They don't give, I'm surprised they're giving you variances is what I'm surprised at because
Well,
they haven't before. It's.
that's
our
what
way
I
or
mean,
no
it's,
way.
like I said, it's been a bone of contention for years and years,
Yeah.
and so.
But having the variance mechanism then gives you an opportunity.
It might, yes.
That's a good thing. Variance,
I'm hoping it does.
Variance origination now is largely in response to just a massive amount of input that they've received, certainly in this state. Because a lot of the entities that I represent, they can't prove it for 500 years, but they can prove it for 100 and even 200 years that they've never had water in certain locations where they're now specifying it falls based on GIS inquiry within the zone. And then what they originally came back with, I've been to 7 or 8 of those hearings, well, show us that, where the water height was. And the response is, it's never been there. We can't show you that other than give you the affidavits that indicate, and when we've had 100-year events in the last 10 or 20, that it never even came close or approached these structures or in any way threatened them. So ultimately, instead of redrawing and redrawing and redrawing again, because it's gone on for years as it is, they came up with this solution.
And they don't, a lot of these, well, whole Florence, where she lives. I mean, whole half of the town is under the, it wasn't neat, then they moved it up on the hill after
Yeah.
51. Most of the town was all under water, and Peabody, the south end, is that way. I mean, there's just a whole lot of towns, and they want to put new ordinances in to where you can't do nothing with these properties, and it's just, some of it's asinine, and yeah. I'm glad to see there is some, or hope there is, and then hope that it don't do what you were just saying, that you set a precedent over here and the whole town can do something that could possibly hurt something, so.
When we're in the unincorporated areas, it's not quite as big a threat, but it still can happen. And actually can happen more readily because we have similarly situated hydrological areas of the county where in one instance it seems like a really good idea, and another it might be, oh, I'm not so sure that's the best place to do it. And they will cite us for that, and then I end up having to defend. So generally what we do, there's kind of a script that we'll use for the findings and gives us some room to defend why we did it in a particular instance without necessarily opening the door or floodgates, if you will, for the other areas.
In some of your other counties that you've worked, you're seeing some variances
Yeah.
right forward. Well, we haven't seen nothing in this county so far, so that's what I'm.
Some of them have floodway areas that have been really expanded, and that gets to what you were talking about in terms of land grab. You can't build in them,
Flood
At all.
Yes.
and they do not care.
Yeah.
And so, and the variance there, it's really, the jury's out whether they would even allow us to do that variance. It doesn't say that you can't, but I think we're gonna have a heck of a time getting it done.
And we don't have a lot of those AE zones in Marion County. So most of ours is Zone A, which is not detailed study,
Yeah.
not a floodway. For clarification, there's always been a variance process for floodplain permits. However, they've added this whole section for agricultural structures because I think they recognize that ag structures are a little bit different than someone's garage or, a house. And we also have, there's substantial improvement and substantial damage regulations. So if a structure is damaged by wind or whatever, fire, if it's damaged more than 50%, then to be able to rebuild that structure in a floodplain, you have to now comply with the now current flood ordinance.
Yeah.
So were the new maps impacted by the 2019 flood?
So this process started quite a while back, actually. Most of the communities were going to digital firms, flood insurance rate maps. And Marion County was kind of one of the middle, some already had them, some out in western Kansas don't have digital maps. Marion County was able to get kind of a grant to help sponsor the process for getting new maps and having them digitized. So now on our GIS maps, we have shape layers that will show us where these floodplains are at, instead of always having to refer to the paper copy, which can be cumbersome. So that process started, and then federal monies were put off. And then I think COVID hit, and then there was a big gap. And then they picked it back up after the state was able to reconvene and things like that, and people were able to have open houses and meetings. So I'm not sure that that completely impacted it. So it was just a process that they were already working on.
Was that part of the reason why then they held meetings like in Florence for the dikes and all of that and stuff? And Halstead and everything like that?
Yes.
That's been
Quite a while.
That's been a
Yeah.
while, so.
It's been a 10 or 12-year ongoing process.
Yes, yeah. I attended some back.
They offered the opportunity for map amendment and map revision, the Loma and Lomar as well, and that took another 1.5 years.
We were really lucky to get a Silver Jackets award to help pay for some of that engineering and study on the levee. Because if the levee wasn't accredited at that time, it would have shown most of the town of Florence in the floodplain. And then everyone under the base flood elevation would have had to have flood insurance. If you have a mortgage.
Yeah, gonna cost everybody a fortune.
So, that being said, if you have any questions about any more of that, feel free to ask. I can try to explain things the best I can, and if I cannot explain it in a way that you or I understand, I know people that know people. So, the Planning Commission makes a recommendation to adopt the text amendments as presented, along with the associated map panels and flood insurance study, which includes adopting these new flood maps when they become effective in July.
That was part of the reason the additional language was placed in A. Encompass all existing or hereinafter enacted current local, state, or federal laws and administrative rules properly enacted or adopted. That also covers going forward, we only control so and so much. We adopt a lot of this in whole cloth from the federal system and also from the state to the extent that they continually add administrative rules to this or regulations. So it gives us a way to say that we've done it on an ongoing basis.
Are there any further questions on text amendments to the regulations? I'm gonna guess that would be the first step, is approving the text amendments to the regulations. If not, I'd make the motion to approve the floodplain text amendments and zoning and subdivision regulations concerning floodplain development. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. Questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay.
Nay.
4 in favor, 1 opposed. We'll say a variance process for ag structures is a good step. Next step,
Be the resolution.
resolution. Okay, Brad, you just sent that out.
Yeah, with just that minor change to it.
Yeah, that's.
Goes to her.
There's a copy here too, if you want that one. With that sentence incorporated into that one. This is about cryptocurrency.
Okay, Brad, would you mind reviewing with us what that one sentence?
Under A, if you I added to the end of it, just to be sure we covered all of those things, including subsequent adoption. At the very end, at the comma, as amended, comma, and then, and shall encompass all existing or hereinafter enacted current local, state, federal laws and administrative rules properly enacted or adopted.
Any questions on the resolution? What resolution number would that be?
2412.
2412. There be a motion to approve resolution 2412 concerning the adoption by reference floodplain district regulations, unincorporated portions of Marion County, Kansas. Okay, I'd make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. Questions or discussion?
I will probably vote for this because this allows flood insurance to be for people, something like that. If you didn't have this, then it would.
Any other comments, questions, or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. This one to sign, that one to sign.
Either one. That one to sign, actually. I assume, yeah. They're identical, so I guess it really doesn't matter.
All those years of work.
It has been a long time.
So is the next round already started?
I believe it has actually. Now they're working on watershed north of us, right? Which will, it dips down into Marion County just
Changes will have to be made because the low water crossing will put it down there. The flood mitigation,
Has to show it.
so it's gonna show another map that backs it up.
The living document.
potentially, yeah, those, they call them low max letter of map change. They rarely do map revisions. It takes got to do an actual map revision, but sometimes I'll revise a panel. I know in 2018, I believe, that was when the city of Marion had their levy reaccredited. So they had to show that whole new map panel. And since the unincorporated portion shares that map panel with the city of Marion, we had to go through this process then.
Okay, any other actions on the floodplain?
Sharon, I have a question. So do you notify any agencies that we've done this, or do I need to do that? Or are we good as long as we just do it and we not have to notify anyone?
So the next step of this process, after the resolution is published, I send a copy of that affidavit and a copy of our adopted resolution, adopted regulations with the resolution to the Division of Water Resources, and then they forward it to FEMA.
Okay, so you're going to take care of those answers. Okay, thank you. Just making sure.
I got you.
Don't want to do all the work and then not get it submitted.
Yeah.
Okay, does that wrap up the floodplain issues?
I believe so.
All right, next.
And that's definitely a tough one. I mean, I get stuck in the middle because I don't have a lot of control over. We have minimum standards that we have to regulate by, and I'm generally the person that has to give someone bad news, and so I get stuck in the middle of that, and there's nothing I can do to make their situation better sometimes. All right, issue number 2. In July of 2023, your board asked for the Planning Commission to address the regulation of commercial Bitcoin activities and cryptocurrency mining. And so the Planning Commission has had several meetings where cryptocurrency mining, Bitcoin operation, Ethereum, blockchain, all of the things were discussed. And then it was posted for public hearing at the May 23rd meeting of this year. Just so everyone understands, in my best effort to explain what cryptocurrency is, it's a digital currency, which is an alternative form of payment created using encryption algorithms. If you need to know more than that, find an IT guy, because I don't know what all of that means. Anyways, this was becoming an issue across the state and across the nation. These crypto mining operations were popping up all over the place, and it's a new thing. And so there was very little regulation, and some communities didn't even know what it was about. So once we heard about what was happening, the board discussed it and decided that we better decide what type of regulations we're gonna try to implement in Marion County, so that we're not taken off guard if there's an application submitted for one of these types of facilities. With that being said, the Planning Commission, during those meetings, just as a summary of what some of the pros and cons were for either adopting regulations with conditions to allow cryptocurrency mining and associated activities, and they also discussed prohibiting cryptocurrency mining and associated activities in Marion County. Some of the cons are big fire danger. They're explosive. Rural fire departments are not equipped to deal with that e-waste type fires to that scale. They produce excessive noise from the HVAC systems. It takes several condensers to cool those servers. There's an enormous amount of stress on the traditional power infrastructure. They don't really provide any jobs. It's pretty well managed by maybe one or two people. There's no real tax benefit for Marion County. There are very few businesses in Marion County that accept Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. There's a concern about the disposal of electrical waste. There's the use of non-traditional structures such as rail cars, shipping containers.
Seeing here is you're looking at a chapter change in this form.
They're finding different types of structures to put these servers in and run their facilities out of that Marion County has taken an effort to try to keep those types of structures at bay. And there's also an excessive water usage from the HVAC systems. The pros are that they promote the use of renewable energy. They're trying to get these companies to use more solar, wind, hydro. And there have been instances where the cryptocurrency miners make deals with the electric company to upgrade the power infrastructure. So that could be a win-win for the community and for the cryptocurrency mining facility. Having more cons and more things that seem unmanageable for Marion County and no real benefit. This type of land use doesn't seem consistent with our comprehensive development plan. So the Planning Commission voted to, first of all, identify what it is, the land use, so develop a definition. And then they recommended prohibiting that use. So adding to section 19 of our regulations that no property shall be used for the establishment of a cryptocurrency or data mining operation as defined herein. And the definition is in Article 1. Do you have any questions about?
First, I appreciate the discussion that the Planning and Zoning Commission had on the issue. I appreciate the record of proceedings show that it was a good discussion, a lot of issues brought up.
Yeah.
Comments from commissioners?
We addressed all the issues that we were concerned about, so.
Were there any issues that they did not see that you might have in mind?
I was there the night that this first was brought up at the zoning meeting, and there was one or two of them had some sort of feelings about them and experience with them, so the noise and stuff like that was one of the big factors that come up, and where they have a building and it's pretty noisy, so.
There have been some real disasters around the state. Not having regulations in place, and they come in and they build them and they're stuck. Other questions or?
And that was the alternative, was to define the land use and then make basically conditions that would try to mitigate some of those issues, the fire, the noise, those types of issues that people are seeing with these facilities.
Well, we had a chance to review the proposal that Russ had presented as the option if you wanted to allow them.
Right.
These would be the regulations that would have to be abided by. And if obviously fire control, sound level, it was a lengthy list, just like the concerns that were raised.
For very little benefit to Marion County. I think that was the kicker, is that, you can regulate anything, but what's the benefit to Marion County?
Brad has sent out the resolution. In this case, it would just be approval of the resolution, is that correct?
Well, it's a text amendment, so you would do exactly the same process you just did for the other text amendment.
So
Do you need
the text amendment would be the definition and then the prohibition.
That's right. So changes to Article 1-104 definitions as follows. The proposed addition of 10472 cryptocurrency data mining, and it outlines that definition. And then amend Article 19-111 prohibiting the establishment of cryptocurrency and data mining operations as defined herein.
Any questions for Sharon on the text amendments as proposed? If not, I'd move we accept the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation to make those text amendments.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gary. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. Next step would be the resolution. Thanks. You've seen the resolution, basically the same thing, the definition and then the prohibition. I would move for the approval of resolution 2024-13, which is approving the text amendments on the cryptocurrency. Second by Commissioner Garing. Questions or discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. Those were two big ones on your list.
I am glad to have those out of the way. You have no idea. It's been a big project.
Well, it was like about a year ago, we started talking about the cryptocurrency and the disaster stories, and better to be prepared. And I appreciate the work of the Planning Commission. Consideration.
Been a lot of research, a lot of good discussion for and against. I mean, they tried to look at all angles. And the other thing is that anytime you prohibit something, you can always wait and watch for the development of that type of land use as it comes in other communities and, you know, let them kind of pave the way for what types of conditions should be placed on it, or see what kind of benefits those communities are receiving because of that land activity. So, you know, I mean, 5 years down the road, this could always be looked at again if it seems to be productive.
I was just wondering if now's an appropriate time to address the public comment that we had on text amendment changes for decommissioning and wind farm.
So I wanted to provide Sharon with a copy of the
Okay.
comments so that she's aware of the comments. And
Okay. Just wanna,
Would
I
it-
didn't really pay attention to the fact that she was gonna be here today, and then that came up today, so I just figured we'd knock it out.
The comments weren't accurate, so we'll give Sharon a chance to provide the accurate information,
Now that,
the comments from the public on decommissioning.
okay.
Well,
Now
we'll get the official response.
okay. I was gonna say, I didn't.
Sure.
yeah, I think we're talking a little cross purposes there, but I think that Commissioner Garing was just talking about the concerns that were raised today.
Okay.
And then a follow-up on the previous questions that were asked and response
where I was-
provided,
I
but
was- I
we don't
wasn't
need
there.
to, yeah.
I was, the other one's old news.
All right, that'll work.
Okay.
Thank you,
All
Sharon.
right, thank you.
Hey, Brad, what do you have for us?
Back out.
We need to travel back.
I know, right? One with wheels.
Before that.
Oh, did you have something there? Okay. Is it executive or?
No, I'm just saying it, you were.
Oh, I'm sorry. Tina pulled the property out,
Oh, okay.
so I'm moving you up.
All right.
Early's better, right?
It's all the same. I am gonna discuss that briefly in terms of the property acquisition. That was lot 20. The last deed of record gave Marion County from the Harris's, and I got that this morning, 31 different lots, and they've got them all grouped together. But that doesn't mean we can't separate one out. So that I sent out just a draft contract for the sale of the real estate for the agreed upon price that were discussed last week. I put a closing date because it's just an undeveloped piece of ground. There really isn't a whole lot else that has to be dealt with for June 30th. So if we want to move that quickly on it, it can be done, or that can be adjusted. Since the city of Marion owns it, there's really not a whole lot in the way of property tax or any other form of taxes or assessments due on it that I could find. So I just put the general language in there. If there's anything to the extent owed, they would pay it to date of closing. We'd take it from that point on if it were something that we inherited and continued to owe anything on, or that was assessed as a result of it being a county property. As is, whereas we pay the cost of closing, which is understanding what we agreed to do. And then title insurance to the extent that we wanted. I made that phone call. We're only paying $1,000 for it at this point, so it wouldn't be it's a negligible amount in terms of that. Don't find any other liens or issues on the property. So nothing else that would preclude transfer of it. And so that's for your review and ready to go whenever.
June 30th is Sunday, does that make a difference?
I just use the end of the month. I mean, I can adjust it. You're right. I can do July 1 just as easily.
Are there still specials on that?
Not that I could find in terms of anything that was being assessed at this point. Sometimes, depending on where they fall, there are everything from township kinds of taxes in these areas that are very minimal and don't get waived.
I know, but
Good question, Don.
I knew the city weren't paying any specials on it.
If there are no questions on that one, that's just informational. Then as to the last trailer, finally was able to reach, actually Isaac had better luck than I did. He got a hold of Alan, I got a hold of Joel. They are planning on moving that this week. And then I'm working with them on the transfer so that they can do something with those once they have them, but the county's out of it at that point. So that should be done during the course of this week, according to Joel. They were planning on doing that. And then there was an inquiry on Eitzen. I can provide those letters. Still, as of Sunday when I went by, there's still been nothing done. That's probably, you're going to have to move to a forced kind of a,
So what would be the next?
ultimately we'd file an action to do so. We don't have the ability, as we do with an abated nuisance, in a lot of these instances where I can use state statute for us to do something, and then, as we do in cities, typically lien the property. There's some limited ability for us to do that. In these instances, I would be reluctant without a court order in this instance, because there's not an immediate hazard that we're addressing. And there haven't been a number of inquiries or complaints about cattle being out on the road nearby or that kind of thing. So we have property owner issues that are contiguous, but I would think it would be more along the lines of a court order to get it taken care of. And then it's a judgment that liens the property if we didn't do that.
We can review that next week. That'd be.
Yeah, I'd like, I mean, we've talked about it, but I guess I'd like
That's
formal instruction if I'm gonna
Yes.
go to that at this point. There's been no response to the letters, so.
You might bring from step A all the way through step
Okay.
C.
summary.
Yeah, what all this is gonna take.
Timeline.
And back to when you went out and did the inspection.
Right. All the actions that have been taken already. Letters.
Kent tried to wreck his off-road vehicle.
Was there any action needed on the contract for sale of real estate?
It's entirely up to you if you wanna do that or want it to be on for next week. It would be to approve an authorized signature on it if that's what you're gonna do.
Pending a staff review.
Or do you want to run that by the city real quick and see if they have
Do
any?
that. I don't know that there's anything that they didn't present as being, but I agree, they haven't.
Okay.
But also, proofreading.
Okay, we'll have staff review and present next week.
There you go.
Sorry, Rob.
Saying nothing.
That's why I throw in the staff review thing.
That's good. Okay, anything else for us, Brad?
Seems like there is another one, but I didn't put it on my list. It's not coming
Well,
up right now.
We got,
Yeah.
before we get into budget discussion, do you want to do your personnel executive session, or do you want to wait
It
till?
don't make no difference to me. If we, Brad probably could hear this.
Okay.
If you want to and do it.
Okay, then let's do that now.
Like Brad and Tina both.
That way you can get onto your next assignment for today. You said about 10 minutes?
Yes.
I move that we recess an executive session in order to discuss personnel performance of an individual pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 1, personnel matters, non-elected personnel performance. With Commission, Brad and Tina for 10 minutes. That'd be from 1:40 to 1:50. Second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 1:50.
Probably getting skipped today.
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay, we're on?
Yes.
Okay, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. Brad, you remembered just another item.
One other item, following up with regard to the letter request and Tina's inquiry last week, I gave that a kind of a general answer and I felt I should probably be more specific. I made a presumption, but I have confirmed it to the best of my knowledge, unless anyone here collectively knows of something different. All of the roadways out at the lake that we've been discussing in terms of maintenance duty and obligation are under 60 feet wide. And so, okay, that one then I may have to go ahead and retract what I said.
Commission is correct. They've got 60-foot right of ways.
When we went to, I traced everything through the township system and how that defines. When you go to the county road unit system, there is one exception to that. If those, we have to accept them, and that still is you can argue if we haven't accepted them that we still have no obligation. But we don't even have to consider accepting them unless they are at least 60 foot wide and meet the standard in terms of our road requirements. We don't really have a complete set of those, one, and most all of these are less than 60 feet wide. So I made that presumption that they were all under 60, so I may have to do
You just talk about like Dan Drive and
No, Weldon's addition, that is where Bruce, Brad Weldon in it, yeah. And that's his addition over there on the new houses, yeah.
Black top.
Well, right where Dave was right behind Dave's area where he built his house, yeah. But that was all built,
those are 60s.
those were all,
They're legal.
yeah,
That
that,
ditches,
yes, that addition,
culverts.
yes.
Have they been constructed to that width though?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes. You'll find the plat right over there.
I better check on that. I missed that somewhere then, I'm sorry. Okay.
But that was a platted subdivision.
Platted subdivision,
I
yes,
don't know if
correct.
it's even part of the lake, to be honest with you.
Huh?
It might not be part of the lake. It might be,
Yeah, I did not look at that one, I'll be honest.
I don't know about that, I considered it the lake, yeah.
just because
I'll
it's
check
there.
It's good to know, thank
I
you.
think it's a separate
That's all.
entity.
It could be Dave, yeah.
Okay, good catch on that. Appreciate that. Okay, anything else for Brad?
No, I think that's all I have.
Okay, with that, brings us up to budget discussion.
So on the budget discussion, what I would like to do with the commission's approval would be, so what I have done right now is I have adjusted all the funds to be revenue neutral, and that leaves very small cash reserves. So I know that's not the final, but that's kind of where I am at the moment. And what I would like to do, if the board is okay with it, is meet with each department and go through their budgets with them and just check into what lines, we could talk about reducing, and then bring back a revised draft for an in-depth review on the 24th.
sounds awesome.
Is that agreeable?
Okay.
Okay, we got a plan?
Okay, that's what we'll work on. So that's really, I don't have documents or anything for you today. I just kind of wanted to broach that with you, make sure that sounds okay.
Thank you. Hopefully harvest will be done. I'll be happy.
I really like our administrator's approach to that, starting revenue neutral.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with historic inflation, and I'm gonna stand in the tax relief position. It may cost us a project or two next year, but I think we're in historic times.
Well, and you have to make decisions on those things, and those are the things I want to bring to you to decide about, because you have some pretty big goals, and being able to accomplish all that in 1 year is expensive. So,
But our middle income and fixed income people need some relief.
and I also made, I'm starting a list of any changes that I've made from the first draft, so that you can see kind of a list of what those are. Okay.
Agree with you. I looked at it from the fixed income. I talked to a few people, my neighbors and stuff that, yeah, eating hot dogs and ramen noodles just to make it.
I don't wanna see us kicking people out of their
I
home.
do it on purpose because I like to remind myself.
Okay, Ken, you have this floor.
I just saying, I'd hate to think that we're kicking people out of their homes. I know there's a lot of other things that's dictating their budget money, but we can help on this end.
Anything else on budget?
No, not today.
And commission comments? You
Uh,
wanna go into that?
Yeah, I would like to go to, see where the commission stands on the 30-30 resolution. If we want to move forward or not. I'm in favor of moving forward with a resolution, but that's me. I'm asking that of the commission. And I'm not asking of today, I'm just bringing it up in commission comments. I know some things that I would like to see in the resolution, but I think we have to have a consensus of the commission before we even move forward with it.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, I've gained some additional information about some things that are going on, and I believe our county is like 28 others. We need to pass a resolution.
I have a question. Is this something that would be appropriate to refer to the planning commission to research or
we did.
not?
I thought we did.
Well, you haven't officially asked them to research it or to look into it or to come up with recommendations.
Sharon
So
had
that's
some
what I'm
thoughts and
curious if-
comments.
I thought Sharon looked at it and
No, she
Well,
had,
I
she
mean,
did.
just a little bit of limited
Yeah.
information and not the planning commission, it was just Sharon. And, you know, Jonah said to be sure that whatever we wanna do, that it runs through planning and
But we
zoning,
did not
but
take an action.
I didn't know if it's an appropriate matter for them to fully vet
Mhm.
or not.
I had a conversation with Sharon.
And
she
hold
had some
public
thoughts,
hearings and
But I don't think it's ever actually been fully reviewed and they made recommendations.
And I would also like to know about some of the other counties that have already passed it. Were they vetted through Planning and Zoning Commission?
Find that out.
Because in the end, we have to make the decision.
So, do you wanna wait until we get a response back from other counties first, or do you wanna refer to Planning and Zoning Commission?
I just don't even know if that's an appropriate matter to, or appropriate way to do that.
Brad, do you wanna research and give
Yeah,
us an answer next
let me
week?
find out and give you a
That'd be
report.
I'm not asking for a commitment today. I'm just telling where I stand.
You're getting us to move on making a decision. We'll get the information on whether that's an appropriate approach. If not, then we go to option B. Or C or D.
And we did ask that there would be a review period.
Right. We're not rushing into it.
Well, I mean, as far as beyond planning and zoning, it was a public review period too. Like, we want to make sure that the public had ample time.
Right, that's why, you know, I suggested if we find out it's appropriate for planning and zoning to do that, they can hold a public hearing and notify on that, et cetera, like we do on other land use matters.
It's not appropriate.
That's appropriate to have them review a draft resolution. So we still have to get to the point where we have a draft resolution.
Well, they would, what my thought was, is not reviewing a draft resolution, that they would review the matter and propose a draft or a recommendation, one way or the other, of what that would look like.
That was what I was intending. I made it.
I think I was provided 2 or 3 and then I've gotten 3 or so more.
And
Something
part
like
of,
that.
part of that could also be whatever ideas the commission wants to be included in the draft, or individuals.
Just know there's gonna be 2 camps.
Yeah.
Want to keep
One thing
everyone,
one thing that has come up as far as conversations that I have had with, it's, you do wanna fully vet it, you wanna make sure that by making a statement, because really a resolution that we make doesn't necessarily have a big impact on the higher ups, okay? You'd have more impact by petitioning your legislators. But because you have to be very careful that if you pass a resolution, you're holding yourself to that. And you may somehow force yourselves to adhere to an unintended consequence of passing a resolution that may not really have an impact on the matter. Except locally, then you're stuck with something you didn't intend to create. So that's a caution that I would have on that. Not saying that we shouldn't do it, but it's important to do it.
I also think that it's a statement to the federal government that local government and state government needs to be involved in some of these land grabs.
Right, and I don't know if there's a more appropriate way to do that than through a resolution, is what I'm saying. What other avenues do we have to accomplish that might have more weight? So, that's just another matter to consider.
So we'd hopefully get all the options and all the approaches and then pick the one that's best. Commissioner Dalkey.
Just today, just happened to notice one of our new county cars running around without any stickers on it. And we've got new employees, new department heads, new cars all the time and stuff through there. I just wondering where we stand on marking our cars. I mean, I think if it's a county car, it needs to be marked as a county car. I think the appraiser's vehicles are all marked. And so I think there's no other reason why, you know, if it's a county car, it needs to be marked county car.
Okay, Tina.
Do I know which one that is?
health department, I think they're trying to decide if they want to use a health department logo or not.
Okay, so commission has kind of had a statement on that in the past that they should all be marked. So that's probably just something that needs to be.
She's aware of it, and I keep pushing them to do something.
I don't know how vast it is, but it's just one of them things that's.
If you see any others, let Tina know.
Okay.
Thank you.
We do need to come back to the custodial services proposal.
Yes, if we could. This has been kind of on the burner for a while, and we really need to get something in place.
Yep.
So, we did reach out to multiple companies. We had, initially only one responded, which was an out-of-county one, and then we had an in-county one that responded also. And we started off pretty far apart as far as what services they were proposing, and then we worked from there to get it to where they were proposing the same type of schedules so that we could compare them more easily. So the two companies that we have proposals for, I just gave you a summary. So we have iServe out of Harrington. They have several large contracts in Marion County, including school district. They have Center School District and some other big clients here. And then the second one is L&L Cleaning out of Durham. So this is a smaller business. They employ primarily family at this time, but they are poised to hire to be able to try to scale up to what the county needs. So what we are looking for is somebody to come in and clean off hours. Right now, we are kind of limping along. We don't have anybody cleaning full time, and our facilities are looking really. And then this is also trying to expand to where we're being consistent across multiple facilities here. So it's for a turnkey, like professional janitorial work to be done after hours. So not while everybody's here trying to work around, vacuum while we have customers and things like that. And so that looks, what we came up with as far as a potential schedule would be at the courthouse 5 times a week. The annex building would be twice a week. Current health department twice a week, which is what we're doing now. 1240 commercial, which is our new building, which would be twice a week. And then there's an optional, the sheriff has their own cleaning staff for their offices and so forth, but then so we did at least offer them to see if they wanted to be included on anything, and really they would be interested in their front lobby and the public restroom that's there. So that's the only area that's included on this, and that would be as an option. It wouldn't necessarily be something that we would have to do. And that may expand later on. So that's why that's that way. Both of the vendors that responded would supply the cleaning products that they use. So the cleaning solutions and things that they need to clean. The county provides all the paper products as we do now. They will restock for us, so we would not have the expense of buying the cleaning products in addition to the contract. Excuse me. I serve as a large company, already carries work comp insurance, and they do background checks on their employees at the time they're hired. They do try to hire locally, and they train people to work in the facilities. The other company does not currently, they're not required to provide workers' compensation, but the county, because of their size and who they employ is family, but the county would require it, and so the rates that you see do not include that. So they would be slightly higher to incorporate the cost of the work comp because we would require that. Our company, our insurance company will charge us if we don't require the vendors that we hire to have it. And that what we pay is more than what they would have to pay. The iServe proposal, they provide all their own equipment and maintain it. They do not want any county-owned equipment. That way, when their people are using it, they don't worry about that. The other company will purchase equipment and station it at our facilities. They have built that into the price of their contract. But if something breaks, they will bill us for maintenance or repairs of the equipment, and the way that this is written. I would not think that it would be a lot of money for any of those kind of repairs. We had some back and forth about the length of time for a contract. iServe requests a 2-year contract, but they said they would commit to a year if the county did not want to go to 2 years. The other company typically works month to month, but did agree to commit to a year. The county, the concern that we have on a month to month would be that they come in low and then they realize that it's too low, and then they're gonna keep increasing the cost every month. And so we are requiring at least a year contract to establish a relationship, and we've asked the companies to price it accordingly to cover what projected costs they think they may have during that time, because we need that for budgeting. We can't have a contract moving around all the time. Both companies can provide extra services as we request at an hourly rate, and like the bigger floor care type services would generally be charged extra, like deep carpet cleaning and doing additional floor waxing and, you know, those kind of services. So the the base quotes are listed there, and then the jail reception as a separate. So iServe is a total for the base and the reception area, an total annual cost of $95,424. And then for L&L, the total annual cost, not reflecting the workers' comp or the amount we would pay for background checks or maintenance, is $64,632. And that's a fairly large gap. iServe said that they would be able to try to negotiate a little bit, but it's probably about $5,000 for a year to close the gap a little bit. So there's, you know, still a large gap there. Both companies did provide references, which Kobe has been calling and checking. And the one thing I didn't mention is the background checks. The county would, for the smaller company, the county would have to pay for those, but that's not a large cost. So that is what I have. Also, I did estimate just to budget if we wanted to hire 2 employees to do full-time cleaning let me see what the hourly rate is that I figured on this. Like $15 an hour. 2 full-time employees for their wages and benefits would cost the county $106,000 for a year. And the previous contractor that we have been paying, M&T's, that is not working with us anymore. I mean, Mark has stayed on to help out as a contracted with them, but we've paid them within the realm of, well, I'll just get the actual amount for you. But they also are doing lawn care, so. Which this will not. So my plan on this, which I have in the courthouse budget, which I talked to you about when I did the budget presentation, is to have 1 full-time person for maintenance on staff. And it would be like a $15 to $16 an hour position. They would do the grounds. They would do the grounds at all of our locations in like 1240 EMS here, the jail, all of those places. And then just do general repairs, and then like emergency cleanups and projects, little projects that come up through the day. So we would still have 1 in-house person for that. Let's see. I want to just, unless you have other questions, I will go ahead and look for that. I've had that printed off before, but. what we were paying before.
2 employees that you figured, did you figure up the cleaning supplies with that, or was that just their labor?
No, that is only the cost to employ them. That does not include the cleaning supplies. I have looked at that, but we buy the cleaning supplies and the paper goods from the same company.
Right.
So we'd still have, I did not get all the way down in the detail to figure out exactly how much is it cleaning supply versus paper goods.
The companies have to carry a general liability.
Yes. Yes, they do. And I do have their certificates of insurance already.
Okay.
They have one over this, I've been kind of in between some, the background check.
Cost, I think,
Well, it kind of depends on where you, how deep you go or how.
Has to be a full-on.
Right, so what we've been doing is about $30 through KBI. So,
They will be opening every door in this building and going into their offices and stuff.
right,
What happens if something does go wrong? What do we, I mean, I'm just asking what happens then, who does what then?
right. Well,
Do we have any insurance to take care of a fraudulent deal?
we do have some insurance, but we also really, we have also our security cameras. I mean, it would have to be an investigation, you know, of,
Yeah, cameras would be great,
right. So,
just in here,
anyway,
just checking here.
we do have ways to kind of investigate.
Well, yeah, I just trying to cover our bases here.
Right.
That's what they got insurance for,
Well,
if to reach a certain
but
amount.
I didn't know whether it would cover it when we're hiring the company
If these
Right,
people
their insurance,
have
for
insurance.
their insurance. Okay.
okay.
Do you know who's preparing the contract? Are they doing that, or would they be looking at one we drafted?
Well, that's on workers' comp if somebody fell. I'm talking about if they come in and
Yeah.
try to steal an information or black out their taxes or something to that.
What I would say is we could, I'm sure they have an agreement and if
Maybe
we
more.
need to,
Take stuff out of your desk,
I
you
think
know.
it would be maybe start with theirs unless you already have one.
I've seen
Whatever.
iService
Yeah.
before, obviously I haven't
Which-
seen one from Illinois.
Yeah, whichever one would be the quickest and easiest to do.
Like a laptop.
Any more questions for Tina as she's looking up that last number?
My brain's not working, Adrian. Thank you.
Well, it's been tough to get a janitor. I mean, to keep one.
Oh my gosh. Please bear with me here.
Do you guys have a recommendation? County clerk and administrator? You got both of them?
I've met one, I don't
Asking her to multitask now.
What's that?
I said our administrator can multitask.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was on the new county clerks, those multitasking was supposed to.
That's also.
That's So we've paid, in 2023, I have the right thing here. Oops. We paid $34,008 in 2023. And I'm sure we paid them more in the previous.
R&R is gonna cut some of this off now.
What?
Revenue neutral.
Oh,
rate's gonna
R&R,
cut it back a little bit. If we
I
got.
I did include, in the courthouse line for contractual, I did include
Budget.
the budget for this, so, it does need to, we do have to get something.
Yes,
in this,
absolutely.
so.
So back to Commissioner Crowfoot's question. Do you have-
Well, it just, really, I think either one would try to do a really good job. One of them is probably gonna require a little bit more oversight just because of the size of our accounts. And it may be bigger than what they're used to.
I'm afraid of too.
The other one shouldn't require as much oversight from the county.
You don't see the workman's comp or the background checks. or
It's not going to add up,
that.
or it's definitely not going to bridge the gap of the
Okay. I
finances.
think that's our main question.
But it depends on how many people to go through too.
Right.
If they're hired
Right, they have a deeper bench, basically,
every week, you know.
Right.
so. Beyond that, I don't,
But if you had some doubts about a local company that may have to grow, would you have a shorter contract to start with and see if they could get it accomplished? I don't know, just.
Well, then there was the other concern about being low and then, month to month. And we start having the increases, then we were better off with the $5 one.
now, if, within our contract, if the performance is not up
Right,
to
right.
standards, we can
Terminate them.
terminate the
Right.
agreement. So that's something that we can write into our
If
contract
you notice, you could quit.
and would, regardless of which company, we would have that.
Is there a feeling from the commission, position? If we've got,
I know one of them's a big company and
Yes.
probably has more, but
Lots of
we've
experience.
got one from right here in the county.
And they might, if it is bigger than what they can handle, they might hire people.
Right. I mean, there's.
They are
it
ready
could
to be able
Could be
to.
a good thing as far as hiring a few people.
But there's not people out there to hire.
So we can stimulate growth though.
They've already been researching that, and they're telling me that they're ready to hire and to take care of the management of that.
A motion to move forward with L&L. Second.
okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Goering, a second from Commissioner Dalkey to move forward with custodial services proposal from L&L Cleaning. Discussion?
Is that for all, including the jail?
Yes.
For the proposal.
Correct? Is that correct? Second.
Motion to be subject to,
Staff review of contract.
and adequate preparation of contract.
Is that agreeable?
Yeah.
Add that to the motion.
It should just go unsaid.
Have
Staff
a
review.
stamp for that, Ashley. Stamp.
know.
Staff review. Okay, other discussion? Anything else we need to add to the motion? Good points. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We have agreement. We'll have acceptance.
Okay. They're definitely
We will
ready to
have
get
an
somebody in here.
What, I went to look real fast, but what was the budgetary number that kinda,
I believe in the 90s in there, adding.
so revenue neutral with a 90. Now we're gonna drop that, that's great.
All right, any other commission comments? We finished our administrative agenda, right?
So, yes.
I didn't think of a 15.
Not today.
All right, next meeting will be on Monday, the 24th at 12:30. And with that, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Goering. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned.
That's not bad.